Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, please sit down. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Can we all sit, please? Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Binama, बीना माँ इधर आ जाओ, बैठ जाओ. किधर? Don't you want to hear stories? Yes, Ma. Time for story with children. Yogi
is open. This card. Keep it open. That's it. Two minutes. Oh, it's that only. Better. Mama, you better ask me.
All the sweets can be distributed to all the people here. The sweets will be answered. You put a sweets lamp here. Somebody distribute it to everyone here. Please start. There is not enough to cut it into half and distribute it. Now this is about, in fact I had come with a great Upanishad stories to tell you. But now the mood has changed completely. I did not expect all this. These love affairs. So now the mood has changed. I'm going to tell you something about the day it happened, because if you people should remember me and celebrate it, it's because of the word of Yogi Ramsuratkumar, a jnani. Whatever utters will definitely become true. Sometime or the other it has to become true, because they live in the house of truth, the highest truth. So I should tell you how this came about. Is it working?
Working.
It was 4th January after Bhagwan came to Sudama, shifted to Sudama when he was not well, very sick. That he should come, and then I even threatened him. I said, if you don't come to Sudama, I would stay on here no matter what. So at the time, Prabhama was with me. So here, we won't go into all those stories, how he shifted, and that's for another day. So after that, November 22nd, when he started to be there in Sudama, because he was very sick, he had to be attended to by the doctor. And then December 1st was his Jayanti. You could see those photographs of 93 Jayanti, December 1st. How he would have been covered like this, because it was so much cold everywhere and he was still sick. And then when the new year dawned, 1994, I did not tell him anything about my birthday because, see, in Hindu Brahmin household, we don't celebrate Jayanti. We don't, Jayanti is a different word. We don't celebrate birthdays. At the most, mother would make some payasam and we are always instructed to go to the temple and worship. This is how we have been trained, conditioned to celebrate the birthday at all. In many households, they won't celebrate it also. So I never took it seriously at all, and it didn't strike me to tell him or seek his blessings, because his very presence was a total blessing to me. What was more there to ask for? But somehow he always knew. He knew so much more. There was nothing he did not know at all. He was all-knowing, all-powerful, almighty. So at the time, Prabha Mami was there, and she was with me. Because when we shifted, the Sudama sisters were not present. They were all in their places, and only Prabha was with me. And when he shifted, Prabha came with me. Prabha and Sundaram both came. And Prabha began to be there with me for cooking. And I had the one instruction of Bhagwan was that I should sit with him all the time. What an easy job. What more do you want? Because for days and nights I had cried and cried and cried and longed to be with him all the time. For me, he was the embodiment of the experience that he gave me, which was only a dream until that time. It was only an experience of someone else in the books I read about. So he became the very embodiment of the highest experience. And so all that I ever wanted was to be with him, just sit in his presence, gaping, gazing at him. And so he said, look, you have to sit with me. The work will be taken care of by other people. And Prabha started to cook. So it was fourth, he called Prabha and said, Prabha, the way he would call, it would come from the neighborhood, and said, today is Devaki's birthday. I was shocked because I never told him, I never even thought about it. And here Bhagwan was declaring it and said, we have to make some sweet. She said, yes, Swami. And then she went inside the kitchen only to find that there was no sugar. She said, Swami, there is no sugar. Then he called this Venkatraman. At that time there was one Venkatraman working as a worker in the ashram. He called him, and it was about 7:30 in the morning, I think around 7 o'clock. Bhagwan said, you go buy some sugar and come. Now at 7 o'clock you don't expect any shop to open, So he went and just see, this is the word of Bhagwan. Because Bhagwan said, you go and get sugar, the sugar should be available. So there was one shop open nearby when every other shop was closed. And very casually, the shopkeeper just pulled out, they have a roll of papers. So he just pulled out one paper and rolled it up in the form of a cone and then filled it with sugar and gave it to him. So when he brought it, and then Prabhama became very busy in the kitchen with that. And she, after she put the kadai on the stove, she opened this sugar because we needed sugar syrup for making any sweet. And when she opened, she said, she used to call me Devaki. Enanga, Devaki, vanga. The way she was screaming, calling me loudly, I rushed there thinking that something had happened. Something was wrong. And then when I went inside, she said, you see this paper? And in the paper, there was a photograph of Papa Ramdas, Mataji Krishnabai, and Swami Sachidanand. Can you imagine? At 7 o'clock in the morning, when no shop would be open, so this fellow Venkatraman had no choice. He had to go to the one shop that was open. And he asked for sugar, and that man pulled out very casually one paper and then gave the sugar in that. And that paper should contain the pictures of Papa Ramdas, Mataji, Krishnabai, and Swami Satchidananda, the whole trio. This is what we call divine orchestration. Everything happens, every detail is being arranged by the divine, sometimes visibly. So we know for sure this is divine orchestration. Sometimes, or most of the times, invisibly, so we think it's our free will, that we have done it. But the truth is, every detail is only divine orchestration, and it was so visible that day. And then immediately I took it and then ran to Swami and said, Bhagwan, you see this? This is a sugar wrapper. And then Bhagwan, of course, as though he didn't know anything at all, he said, Oh, Devaki, he said, see, Papa has come down. Mataji Krishnama is here. Swami Satchidananda is here, only to greet you on your birthday. They have come all the way to bless you, Devaki. If you try to live this moment, some wrapper from some shop, that Bhagwan should ask for sugar, and then you see Bhagwan's very guru, because if anybody came from Ananda Ashram, Bhagwan would prostrate first. Say, oh, you people have come from Ananda Ashram, you have brought my guru's blessings, my papa's blessings. So, how can I? Just imagine in Tiruvannamalai, a Shiva Kshetra, only Ramana Ashram was famous, so it was there, everybody knew about it. It was way back in 94, the beginning. How could a shop contain a paper and that should come wrapping this sugar, and then it was in the hands of Bhagwan in minutes, and he was proclaiming. So it was a great, great, great moment of blessing from the lineage. You see, divine orchestration, visible divine, deliberate and visible divine orchestration. And so, and then he said, you keep distributing sweet to all the people who come for darshan of this beggar. So that day, it is about till 12:30, 1 o'clock, the sweet was being distributed. Kesari. She had done some kesari, and then this was being distributed to everyone. And then Swami asked me to take a big paper and write this 4th January 1952. So I wrote it 4th January 1952. And then there is still, when you visit Sudama, you would see it. There is a swing there, a beautiful Gujarati swing, which we bought, the Sudama sisters bought for Bhagwan. And on that, he asked me to keep it. And when I kept it there, he kept on blessing me. He was blessing, and then he said, Devaki, you should not remove this on any account, it should stay on. So it is still staying on there, you can see that. So really, when the word birthday comes from the holy mouth of a Mahatma, it was any date, it's okay, that is the birthday. The day you arrive at the feet of, the holy feet of a guru is truly the birthday, but then more true is the word that comes out of his mouth. So that is how the 4th January became my birthday. Because until then, I was never aware of it, we never celebrated it, we never gave any importance to it. Because I was always scared to celebrate birthday because it would invite more and more births. How could we afford it? You're celebrating your birthday because so that people would wish, and then this birthday will become a permanent feature, which means birth after birth after birth of celebration of birthdays. Whereas when you celebrate the Jayanti is the word used only for the holy beings, for the divine Krishna Jayanti, or for the holy sadhus. Otherwise it's just birthday, the birthday of the body. So because it came out of Bhagwan's mouth, and then he insisted on my writing it and keeping it on the swing there. And then he said, bring a paper. So I brought a paper because some message had come from my mother at that time. So he wanted to reply to my mother. So he said, bring that. And this time he did not ask me to write anything. He just snatched it from my hand. And then he wrote down a few sentences there, offering his pranams to my mother. And then saying, I don't want to say. The Guru, when he is very pleased with the disciple, it is the heart of the huge kindness ocean. And he would give you any gift, the gift of grace. So he said playfully, he was assuring my mother, who was very worried, naturally. She wrote a letter to my Bhagwan, and that was another very intriguing story. So, as a reply to my mother, he said, don't worry, I have taken Devaki for father's work. And then even this beggar's Jayanti will be celebrated only for one day, but Devaki's birthday will be celebrated for 3 days, he said, all over the world. Please. He says, I'm just saying what gifts can be given by a jnani when he chooses. And whatever he utters would definitely come true one day or the other, no matter how many obstacles are put in the way. So he said, this was an assurance, a gift of grace to my mother, so that she would be happy, because out of so many children, they were all married and settled down. But from my young age, I never wanted to marry, and I always felt I was meant for God. So my whole mind setup was very different. And my mother knew it. And then she would always say, if I went to the kitchen to cook, she would say, no, this work is not for you. You go and study. You sit with the book. If I wanted to do any household work, she would say, no, this work is not for you. You go sit with the book. Always she was chasing me out. And then I thought, okay, it was for extra fondness for me. She probably, she was very psychic in a way. She could directly talk to some of the divinities. She would fast quite a bit. Almost 4 days a week she would be fasting for this god or that god, for Divine Mother, for Krishna, and this and that. So she had this insight. And she would always say that, because why I am saying it, later on when I came to Bhagwan would repeat the sentence. If I wanted to prepare something for Devaki, sit, that work is not for you. He said the same sentence, the exact sentence. Then I used to remember my mother, that she was pronouncing that. Why I am saying divine orchestration. When you look back, you would see every detail falling into place, creating a beautiful, holy picture. So that is it. And of course, my mother was very happy after that. So it was only to assure my mother that I was safe with him, that Otherwise, she had written a terrible letter to Bhagwan, saying that I have lost my daughter alive. Because among all the children, since I did not want to marry, I was the one taking care of them. I used to rush to them every holiday and serve them in as many ways as possible, physically, mentally, and soulfully, prayer and all that. So they were so much dependent on me. And suddenly, the whole, that is it again, the divine orchestration, the grace of God, that they were most important people in my life, my father and mother. They were old and ailing, and I was taking care of them. But once I saw Bhagwan, everything, including my intense feeling for my parents, dropped out. Everything turned to only Swami, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. So my mother had felt it, and very strongly, and then she wrote a letter. And I didn't know that this letter had come to Sanadi Street after Bhagwan shifted, and Bhagwan had not gone to Sanadi Street for 10 days. So suddenly one evening, he said, Devaki, we'll go to Sanadi Street house today. And then we went there. Then he sat in the veranda. And then he said, see, so many letters must have come there. You go inside and there must be a bag with lots of letters. You bring it out. So I went there and searched for it, and then I brought it. And then I sat opposite to him. He said, Devaki, take out lead the letters one by one. So it looked as though he had come all the way only to hear those letters, because he used to do that every day. But because he fell sick and he had to shift, everything changed after that. For quite a few days, he did not read any letters. So much had accumulated. So I was putting out one letter after that. So I would take it, I would try to, no, Devaki, just put it down. And take the second. Okay, now you drop it. Third, drop it. So I had to keep on putting it without opening any of them. And suddenly there was one inland letter. And then I was going to drop it. Before he said it, he said, no, Devaki, open that. And then I opened, and then I read out, little realizing it was from my mother. I just kept on reading and then saying that, see, my daughter has left me, left the service that she was doing to us. We are old people. And now she's lost to us completely. I have lost her alive. When that sentence came, Bhagwan said, Devaki, close that. And then he said, put all the letters into the bag again. And then he said, now we are going to your mother. See, he was still recuperating from the sickness. Dr. Radhakrishnan had come all the way from Kerala, and he stayed in Sudama for a few days treating him. And he was slowly getting well, and it was December 4th. And this happened. And the 4th evening, he knew the letter had come. He knew it was there caught amidst all those letters. And he took me, just see how dramatically the reenactment of a scene. He knew every detail, and it was reenacting the whole thing. He took me there, asked me to bring the bag, and then put one letter after the other, would not allow me to open any of them. And finally one letter came, and he knew it was from my mother. I didn't know. And he asked me to read out, and when this particular sentence came, suddenly we see butterflies outside as he's coming. I had butterflies inside my stomach. The minute I read that sentence, my God, what has my mother done? And I was so scared, Bhagwan would send me back home. I really was so scared, and I started to pray. Bhagwan, please don't take it. You can look after, you are looking after the whole cosmos. Please don't do anything drastic. I was praying. I was really scared that he would take me and drop me there and then come back. I was clinging to him. And then he said, you see, it was a stormy night, pouring. There was a downpour of rain, and he was just getting well slowly.
And he said, Devaki, come. Then we went there and he sent word to, at the time Rajakumari Amma, Murihesanji's wife was there, staying in Nadar Lodge. Her son, Senthil, was also there. And her car was there, and the driver. So he sent word. And then the car driver, Senthil, also came. Rajakumari's son also came with the driver. The car was, it was about 9 o'clock. We had to hurry. He said, no, I kept on begging. Bhagwan, we'll go after 1 week, after you get completely well. What will people say if you go? If you go in this state? I know I put forth all angles of the problem that it would create. And above all, I said, you are not in I could not say your body is not in such a position, but still I was begging him with different excuses, but he just would not listen. He ruled out the whole thing, and then we got into the car. 9 o'clock we got into the car, and through the stormy night, somehow it was not so bad that night. So we reached my mother's place in Madurai, and it's called Arapalayam, and the house was there. My elder sister was looking after my mother. See, even that detail was already arranged by Bhagwan. My eldest sister, the widow, she was a widow, and her children had already grown up and settled down, and so she was free to look after my parents. Every detail was seen to by the Divine. And when we went there, it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, early morning. 9 o'clock we started, 5 o'clock we reached. And then Bhagwan and I were there at the door, and then I was knocking on the door. Inside only my mother was there. She could not move an inch. She was just sitting there all the time on the cot, and my sister's voice was heard. When we knocked, she was asking, who is it? Who is it? I said, see, Sita, Bhagwan has come, Bhagwan. She could not believe. She thought it was some fake at the door, and she was even more frightened to do it. And then I said, no, Devaki has come. I have come. And Sita, please open the door. Bhagwan is right at the door. And then she opened it and she saw Bhagwan. She said, Baba. I still remember she could not get the word Bhagwan out. It stopped with Baba. She almost fainted seeing him at the doorstep. And then I said, Devaki, is it Bhagwan? He said, yes, it's truly Bhagwan, and I have come with him. You please let us inside. So, Bhagwan, we entered, and with that, Senthil and Shri Parthasarathi's wife Radhika was also there. And so all of us entered. And then Bhagwan went and sat near my mother on the cot. I'm sorry, something is going on inside. Then he stroked her back. He stroked her head and back down, and then said, Amma, I am taking Devaki for father's work. You have to bless. You have to bless her. Then Bhagwan said, without your parents' blessings, no work would be complete. This is for all. Our parents bring us up with so much difficulty. They sacrifice so much for the sake of the children. And mother has given a part of her body and soul in the form of the child. So the blessings of father and mother are very, very important. So Bhagwan was saying, I have taken her for father's work, but it won't be complete without your blessings. You please bless her for the work. So my mother, what was more, the Bhagwan said, Devaki, come, we will prostrate before you. He prostrated before my mother. He did namaskaram to my mother. My mother could not do anything because one eye she could not see. One eye was lost because she was heavily diabetic. And then she had a stroke also. She could not move. And she didn't know what to do. She was saying, Bhagwan, Bhagwan, Bhagwan. And then she said, Devki, you should not leave Bhagwan even for a fraction of a second. The one who said, she is not coming back, I have lost her alive, is saying you should not leave him even for a second. So that was the blessing she gave. And then Bhagwan, he was wearing a shawl like this, a grey shawl. And then he took it and said, Amma, you keep this. I will keep Devki for father's work. Just see, it's all Leela, the divine play. We see only the external gestures, but there is, you see the tip of the iceberg. And the iceberg itself, the real size of the iceberg, would be running miles down the water. Have you ever seen icebergs? You see only the tip on above the water. But it can be a very massive structure running down into the water several miles sometimes. So we see only the external gestures of these jnanis, these great people whose life is like a candle that burns at both the ends to throw light around, to remove the darkness. They burn themselves out for the sake of the devotees, for the sake of the people, for the sake of the whole humanity. They are the sacrificial lambs. That's why Jesus says, shepherd is Lord. But they come only for that, so they don't mind that. As Bhagwan used to say, he said with tears in his eyes, he quoted Jesus Christ and said, we are the salt of the earth. And then he added, we are the candles that burn at both the ends to throw light around. So everything is a divine, and the thing is, after that, of course, we stayed there till about 9 o'clock in the morning. My sister made some food, some dosa or something which Bhagwan took, and all those people who accompanied us. And then 9 o'clock we started from there. The whole day was very stormy, pouring, blinding rain. And on the way, again, there's some miracle. So we were traveling, on the road. There would be huge trees fallen on the road because of the storm. And then we had to wait until they removed the obstacle. And then again we would travel some distance, there would be another huge tree fallen on it. So somehow we managed to travel, but by the time we reached only halfway or a little more than halfway, it became very dark and there was no light around and there was water everywhere. The car was almost floating. And suddenly the driver, Rajkumari's driver who had come with Senthil, he was saying, Amma, I don't know where we are. It's very dark and there is water all around. I'm very scared we are getting into some river or something or a tank. I don't know the way. We are lost. It was pitch darkness outside and the light was battering on the, the glass, the window of the car. And then we didn't know where we are. And Swami was just recuperating and he was very tired and he was almost leaning on my shoulder like this. He looked as though he was dozing. And then finally I said, Bhagwan, I don't know, we are stranded. There is only darkness all around. And the driver is declaring that he doesn't know how to go. Then you know what? Bhagwan was just lying down still with eyes closed. He said, Dev, ask him to take reverse and then turn left and then turn right and then go straight and turn left. And we were on the road. He was still lying on, his head was lying on my shoulder and he was dictating. So you see, we are all in the darkness of ignorance. And that's what I'm saying, visibly, he had closed his eyes, his body was recuperating, and he was very tired, and he did not even sit up or anything. He said, ask him, and very casually, move, reverse, turn left, right, straight, and left or something. And we were on the road and there were lights. So that is it. That was a great, great thing for life, that how they could guide us back. When we miss the road, how he could bring us back to the right path. So it is the security of the Guru. After that, by the time we came, it was 2 o'clock early morning. 9 o'clock we started from Madurai, and it was 2 o'clock. The previous day, 9 o'clock we started at Sudama, and early morning, 5 o'clock we were there. But on our way return, it was a terrible night with so many obstacles on the path, and finally we reached at 2 o'clock, 2 a.m. But Bhagwan was very happy. He said, Devaki, my father had passed away by then. Only my mother was alive. So he said, Devaki, you've had blessings of your mother. So everything will be all right. See, when these great people they are on their work, on the mission of doing good to the humanity, there will be so many negative forces at work also. There will be a competition. Like, you see the war between the Devas and Asuras all the time. So these Asuric forces would also become alive. They also draw their strength from the same Jnani. That is the thing. That is the irony. And they fight. They fight against the Mahatma and his mission. So finally we reach at 2 o'clock. So with this we have to close this session. And I never spoke about it except rarely. But today somehow, when I see all this ceremonies, it just came off its own accord, by His grace. Yogi Ramsuratkumar. And thank you all for this love.